Hey guys, it's Dr. Alexis Carrington. So I am currently in my call room right now on the floor that I'm working on. So there's a little bit of downtime right now. I have the two pagers with me, our regular pager in case something happens, and our code pager just in case there's a code, likely from coronavirus. So ready for whatever happens. But I wanted to take this time to talk about the emotional aspect of all of this and share stories with that, because a lot of you guys have been asking how has it been impacting you, such as have we cried and everything like that. And I say yes. We have definitely been feeling this emotional impact, myself, my co-residents and interns, the volunteers, and yes, we have definitely shed a good amount of tears over all that has happened. On the night that we had 15 codes, that was my first night, if you remember from my first video, and it ranged from young people in their 30s up to those in the 90s, and we had to call every single family member of that patient, telling them that their family member had passed away, despite all of the efforts of intubating them in some cases or anything that we tried, and they still passed despite our interventions because of coronavirus. And every single time they would ask, how can that be? We saw them walk into the hospital and they looked just fine, and they were fine yesterday, and we have to remind that coronavirus can change at the blink of an eye and the clinical status can worsen. So after having that night of 15 codes and calling family members, telling them that their family member had passed, there was one case where I spoke to the wife of a patient who had passed away, and he left behind 2 teenage daughters. And this was at the end of my shift at 6 a.m. My shift ended 30 minutes after that. After I called the wife and told her, she burst out into tears, and I tried to comfort her, and understandably so, she was inconsolable, just saying, why, how could this happen, he's so young, he was in his 50s, and she's like, now I have to raise my children by myself. And hearing those words still resonates with me. At the end of my shift, I gave my sign out, and then I walked home from the hospital, and the walk home was about 15-minute walk home. And during that time, when I was walking home, I just felt the tears streaming down my face. All the emotions, the stress, everything was mounting up, and then I heard her say, now I have to raise her two children by herself, and I just broke down crying. It was a feeling of guilt in that there was only so much we can do, and I just wish that we could have done more, but we just don't know a treatment yet. And there was also a feeling of helplessness, because again, we don't know how to treat this, and it was gut-wrenching. And I remember, and I was crying. I cried all the way home, and as soon as I got into my house, I just threw myself on my bed and just continued to cry. And thankfully I called my family, and they were very comforting and reminding me that we did the best that we could, but it was still heartbreaking that I had to deliver that news, the worst news that someone can hear about their family. We've been noticing that anxiety has been mounting. Even hearing, so we get pages from these pagers, and it's like a blaring noise. So every time we hear an alarm, even like an alarm from our alarm clock, we get jittery, thinking, oh my God, there's a code or something's wrong, someone's decompensating. Even hearing a car alarm, like a horn honking, that is giving us tension. Fortunately, a lot of our patients, like I said, they die unexpectedly, and sometimes we find them they pass away. With coronavirus, we have a lot of people on masks to keep their oxygen levels high, and if they take their mask off, then their oxygen levels can go down very quickly, and it can cause their heart to stop. So because of that, we've been seeing a lot of people who just have to use the bathroom. They take their mask off, thinking that they can quickly use the bathroom for a minute, and then put the oxygen mask back on, and in less than a minute, they code, their heart stops. So therefore, when we are called, we find them on the bathroom floor, so we have to do compressions on them on the bathroom floor. And this has happened at least 5 times that I've been on night float shift. Everyone it's happened throughout the day and throughout the past 6 weeks. So it's happened on numerous occasions, but for me, it's happened about 5 times. And because of that, I get nervous seeing people use the bathroom. I remember at the end of one of my shifts, I was working on sedating a patient who was just intubated, and I saw his next door neighbor, who also has coronavirus. His next door neighbor got up to use the bathroom. He was wearing a nasal cannula, which is like the simplest version of oxygen. He got up to use the bathroom, took his nasal cannula off, and then just went in to use the bathroom just normally. And I remember seeing him out of the corner of my eye. My heart was racing. My mind was racing. I was like, oh my God, he's going to code. He took his oxygen off, and I'm like, what if he codes, and what if I hear, and I was terrified that I would hear a thud, meaning that he would fall because he lost oxygen and his heart stopped. And he was only in there for about 30 seconds, but it felt like an eternity waiting for him to come out of the bathroom, because I didn't know anything about the patient. He wasn't my patient, so I didn't know if he was stable enough to do that. But I was sweaty, my heart was racing until he came out of the bathroom and went back on his bed and put his nasal cannula on, and I could breathe again. But it's those sorts of things that it has taken an emotional toll on us, to the point where even I see someone in the hospital using the restroom and I worry that they can die just from getting up to use the restroom. So this has definitely had a huge emotional and mental impact on us. So it is a very stressful time. We're all tense, but us coming together and talking about it. So I've been telling this to my coworkers, my co-interns, my family, and my friends. So that part has been helping, just voicing my feelings. And in doing that, I hear that I'm not the only one. Even like my colleagues from across the country have been feeling that way. It's something that the healing will take some time, but I do feel like us coming together and discussing it helps so much, and it prevents the feelings of isolation and loneliness, and especially the feelings of helplessness. So I just wanted to share that, keep you guys updated on more stories that come through. Thank you.